Welcome to the Deep Dive, where we take the heavy lifting out of learning by distilling the wisdom from the best sources on the planet,
Today, we're stepping into the boardroom.
specifically the nonprofit boardroom. This is the place where the mission is supposed to roar to life, but, so often these meetings are where momentum goes to die.
That's the core tension, isn't it? The
Hmm.
source material makes it so clear. The board meeting it's the single most critical forum for planning direction, setting strategy.
And making those legally binding decisions.
Exactly. But if those meetings are disorganized or dull or, dominated by one or two voices, the entire organization just stagnates.
Absolutely. So our mission today is super practical. We're going to extract the foundational strategies for running orderly, effective, and efficient board meetings.
Meetings that actually advance the nonprofit's mission.
Right. Think of this as your quick start guide to making your board time valuable again. We've got the blueprint for structure, accountability, and maybe most importantly, engagement.
Before we unlock these specific strategies, I think we need to ground ourselves. Effective board meetings are the absolute glue holding a successful organization together.
The glue, I like that.
Yeah. They don't just enable decision-making, um, they enforce a kind of democratic collaboration, and they maintain that essential accountability to the mission. If the meeting structure fails, the entire governance structure is compromised.
And just before we dive in, if you are looking to take this to the next level, for a wealth of educational videos and additional resources on everything we discussed today, make sure you visit Nonprofit.Courses.com.
That's your crucial resource. Everything from board structure to dealing with complex issues is there.
Okay, with that necessary context set, let's jump straight into the two essential foundations of order and preparedness.
Let's do it.
So the first essential is the agenda as a roadmap. Now, everyone has an agenda, but the sources we reviewed stress that its definition has to be really robust.
It's a detailed document. It lists not just the issues, but the time allotted for each and a logical order of discussion. It's basically a contract with the board's time.
And what's fascinating here, and what the source is really hammered, is that the true power of the agenda isn't just what's on it, but when it arrives.
Exactly. Good agendas must be shared well in advance of the meeting. The sources often suggest aiming for a minimum, say, a 7-day rule for complex materials.
7 days. Why that specific timing? What's the magic there?
It connects directly to the board's legal responsibilities. Board members have a duty of care, which means they have to be informed before they vote.
So you can't just show up and wing it.
No. By distributing key financial documents, policies, or complex proposals a week out, you force board members to do their homework on their own time.
And they arrive at the meeting prepared to ask informed, high-level questions.
Right. Rather than using that valuable meeting time just to digest the basics, it just keeps deliberations targeted and on track.
That totally reframes the agenda. It's not a list of topics. It's a strategic gatekeeper of valuable time.
It really is.
Okay, so if the agenda is the map, then the second essential has to be the driver. Good facilitation and chair leadership.
Absolutely. The board chair or the meeting facilitator.
Yeah.
They aren't just a timekeeper. They are the chief conductor of a constructive discussion.
They have to manage the flow of conversation, which I imagine often involves navigating some pretty strong personalities.
Oh, for sure.
So that sounds great in theory, but what happens when the board chair is the person dominating the conversation? Or when they let one or two strong voices just silence everyone else? Did the sources offer a strategy for that?
They did, and this is where facilitation moves from simple management to genuine leadership. Good facilitation requires the chair to actively manage the airtime.
Manage the airtime. So calling on people.
Yeah, making sure different individuals who wish to speak are acknowledged, drawing out quieter members, and securing the continuity of the process by synthesizing all these diverse viewpoints.
So the goal isn't just to get to a decision.
No, the ultimate goal is that every single member feels their perspective was truly taken into account, even if the final decision went another way.
It's not about stifling debate, it's about making the debate democratic. I know there are resources out there specifically to train this skill, things like how to become a better meeting chair.
And managing the people and process side of meetings. It really confirms this isn't some innate gift. It's a learned skill set.
A crucial one for keeping complex discussions moving smoothly. Okay, so once you have that solid structure and disciplined leadership, we shift to what proves you actually did the work. Section 2, accountability and documentation.
Right. This is the nuts and bolts.
This brings us to Essential 3, documenting decisions, or, as the sources call it, establishing a robust paper trail. Why should nonprofits treat their meeting minutes with, like, the same gravity a major corporation would?
Because documentation is what grounds the board in accountability and transparency. And crucially, it serves a defensive function.
Okay, break that down. A defensive function.
Well, good minutes serve two huge purposes. First, they're your operational reference point, an accurate record of decisions made, so you aren't debating the same exact issue next year.
And the second function, the legal one. That's the real kicker.
Correct. Crucially, they serve as legal proof of the meetings, and specifically, proof of your board's due diligence.
So if there's a lawsuit or something?
If legal questions arise about financial stewardship or policy failures, the board has to show it acted in good faith, that it relied on adequate information.
The reliance on information defense.
Exactly. If the minutes don't clearly state what was presented and what decision was made, that defense it evaporates.
Wow. So minutes aren't just meeting notes, they are actual evidence. This is why the sources warned that there must be a paper trail.
A paper trail showing the board made certain decisions and that all action items had a logical follow-up.
But if the minutes have to be so detailed for legal reasons, I mean, doesn't that make them long and tedious to produce? I saw a resource mention how to keep your minutes from taking hours. What was the core idea there?
The core technique is to focus on decisions and action items, not on dialogue. The goal isn't a play-by-play transcript of the conversation.
So you don't write down every argument.
No. You record who presented what information, which board members were there, and specifically the motions made, the vote count, and the clear follow-up actions assigned to people. By avoiding that temptation to record every single thing everyone said, you keep the minutes concise, legally sound, and actually useful.
That's excellent, actionable insight. Okay, let's move from process and paper to people. This brings us to Essential 4. Driving intrinsic engagement.
This is huge.
Because you can perfect the agenda and the minutes, but if half the board is silently staring at their phones, the whole exercise is meaningless.
And strong, knowledgeable board member participation is just non-negotiable for strategic decision-making. Good meetings build intrinsic engagement because they're structured in a way that respects the specialized expertise of the members. You want them to feel like their preparation actually matters.
So if you let people contribute knowledgeable thoughts, they transform from passive attendees into active strategists. What's the tangible outcome of that?
The outcome is just better decisions, period. When a board leverages the collective expertise and diverse experiences of its members, it experiences more robust and well-rounded decisions. You avoid the danger of groupthink.
And you get the full benefit of those highly accomplished people you recruited in the first place.
You do.
I really appreciate that the sources didn't shy away from the human challenge here. They talked about avoiding 5 mistakes that turn off board member, and even how to prevent nonprofit board meeting zombies.
Meeting zombies, yeah. We've all seen them.
So what is the #1 mistake that just kills engagement?
Oh, it's getting stuck in the weeds. It's the time spent on operational details that should have been delegated to staff or committees.
So when board members, who are supposed to be thinking about 5-year strategic goals, are dragged into reviewing minor operational reports,
They disengage. Of course they do. Intrinsic engagement requires keeping the discussion at the governance level. You have to respect the high-level expertise in that room.
that makes perfect sense. If you focus on strategy, people feel their time is being honored, and this powerful engagement leads us directly into our third section, ensuring all that intellectual energy is actually pointed toward the mission.
Right. Which brings us to Essential 5, mission demonstration. This is about injecting the why back into the governance work.
The why.
It's so vital to connect the board members closely to live tangible examples of the nonprofit's work whenever it's appropriate.
So this moves the board beyond just reviewing budget lines on a spreadsheet. How do the sources suggest doing that?
By strategically allocating a small amount of meeting time to experience the mission firsthand. For example, can you invite a current or former client to discuss the direct impact the organization had on their life?
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Or can a staff member, maybe someone from the outreach team, not just the CFO, describe what they do on the ground and the current challenges they're facing?
That type of connection, it just shifts the entire emotional center of the discussion, doesn't it? Reviewing a 10% budget increase for a program feels very different if you just heard a story from someone who depends on that program.
Precisely. That live, vital connection infuses the governance role with real vitality and enthusiasm. It reminds every single board member why they signed up to spend their valuable evenings reviewing those dense packets of material. It reinforces the whole purpose.
Okay, and finally, we arrive at Essential 6. This is the mechanism that ensures the board doesn't just slip back into bad habits: assessment and continuous feedback.
You just can't improve what you don't measure. Learning from assessment and feedback needs to happen after each meeting, not just annually.
So, like a quick evaluation at the end of every session.
It can be that simple. Boards need to proactively ask, what worked? Did we follow the agenda? Did we use our time efficiently? Did we hear diverse opinions?
This sounds like a commitment to quality control, but applied directly to the governance function itself.
It is. This commitment to improvement increases the odds that boards will maintain high-quality meetings over the long haul. This continuous discipline is what allows them to provide oversight at the highest levels.
It lets them tackle those really specialized, complex topics. We saw resources linked to this idea, focused on everything from improving board structure to setting new board members up for success.
And even ending board meeting decision chaos by learning to put the board in the right frame before deliberation.
It all ties back to proactively ensuring that meeting time is used for strategy, not struggle.
If we synthesize all 6 of these points, the message is pretty clear. The foundation of an effective board meeting is advanced preparation, strict but fair facilitation, and meticulous decision-focused documentation,
And that structure creates the space for strong engagement.
which can then be harnessed by connecting the work directly back to the mission.
So, effective meetings really are the source of democratic collaboration and accountability. They allow the board to carry out its complex governance role with purpose and with vitality. They really are the glue we identified at the start.
Yeah, we've focused heavily on the mechanics and the structure today, but remember that the source material points toward just as many resources dealing with the human element,
Right, things like difficult meeting behaviors.
or optimizing effective and engaging virtual board meetings, which is a whole other challenge.
Which raises a really important question for you, the listener, as you look at your own board and the time you dedicate to it. How can you move your board beyond just making the necessary sound decisions, beyond just completing governance tasks?
To carrying out its mission with that real vitality and enthusiasm we highlighted.
How can you make every single meeting an inspiring checkpoint for mission delivery?
That transformation from formality to inspiration, I think that's the ultimate goal of strong governance.
And remember, for a wealth of educational videos and more on working with your nonprofit board, including detailed courses on board structure, meeting facilitation, and dealing with those difficult behaviors,
You should visit Nonprofit.Courses.com.
it's the essential resource for ensuring your board meetings are efficient, effective, and truly mission-driven.
It really is.
Until next time, keep digging deeper.